As he told me when we met in Chichester this summer, where I was appearing in the comedy Educating Rita, a very different world from that of Kwame's Elmina. Now, you grew up in West London, Grenadian heritage, and I believe you changed your name to reflect your African roots. Yeah. So to what extent did your feeling of Africanness shape you, or was it your London upbringing in Southall at the time of the notorious Southall riots?
I think certainly being a teenager in trouble, riot-strewn Southall, walking down the street the night after the riots and having a policeman, when I was maybe 11 or 12, kick me in my back and say...
Are you joking?
Oh, straight up. I mean, I could bore you with a million of those stories. And kick me in my back saying, come on, just give me a reason to arrest you. Seeing from my window skinheads being armed by the police, being given batons and shields by the police. I mean, I saw this with my eyes as I ran into my house and looked down and saw people running down the street and the police arming them, giving them weapons. I think also being born at a time when Roots was on television and actually just said to us, diasporic Africans, you who have had your culture ripped from you, you who do not know where you are from and this is who you are and this is where you're from. I think that has shaped the narrative of my life in a rather profound way.
Roots was a massive American television drama series broadcast in 1977, which told a story of slavery and American black history through the lives of one family across 300 years, starting with an African called Kunta Kinte, who was captured in 1767 and sold into slavery. The series profoundly affected the image of African Americans both in the US and here at home. I remember when Roots, it was on television on Sunday nights, the Monday morning after the first episode of Roots went out was a very different Monday to any other Monday that ever been, because all of these little black kids were suddenly like, what? We made the Middle Passage, fool! You know, it was like that. We'd seen Kunta Kinte taken and put in a boat, and we'd seen how he'd suffered, and we all felt it. We all walked into school different to the way we'd walked in the week before.
It's the power of the narrative, you know, and the idea of carrying the name of someone who enslaved my family felt contradictory to who I felt I wanted to be. The autobiography of Malcolm X changed my life. Roots changed my life. Alex Haley. The thoughts and philosophies of Marcus Garvey changed my life. And so in a kind of way, narratives have shaped my life. It's no wonder that I'm in theatre. It's no wonder that I'm a writer.
What did you say to me?
I ain't no boy.
No! Did you use a Viking expletive when talking to me?
No. Yes. What's that?
And you wanna be a bad man? Go back to school, youth, and learn. You can't just walk into this bad man thing. You gotta learn the whole science of it. You need to have thought about, have played with, and have learned all of the possible, terrible, torturous ways that death could arrive. Then you need to ask yourself, could you do that and more to somebody you know? Have you done that, youth?
It was set in Hackney, and yes, it explored a very significant or very topical issue of black-on-black violence and urban gun and knife crime.
Dr. Michael Pearce teaches the history of black British theatre at the University of Exeter.
But it was also a human story. It was about the relationship between a father and a son. And I think it didn't just resonate because of its black subject matter. It resonated because of its universal appeal.
This is a watershed moment in British theatre. Elmina's Kitchen also scores another milestone. It has successfully brought in audiences who don't normally go to the theatre. The play was initially a hit at the National Theatre, where on many nights half the audience were black, a significant shift. Razia Iqbal, BBC News.
First of all, to have a play produced at the National Theatre under Nick Heitner was something that I wasn't even in the back of my mind as a possibility. To then have the play move to the West End and make history, it made me feel profoundly humble, but what it also allowed me to feel was that it was really important that the next generation of playwright got to understand that someone writing out of my tradition actually was allowed through and allowed a second and a third production of.
Because the way we've been schooled is that with being allowed to come into the country, with being allowed to come here to work, with being allowed to have our children go to school and be educated here, and it's a kind of reactive word, it's a passive word, and there's going to come a point when we stop using this language.
I use it rather deliberately.